Tuesday, the Senate will start to vote on legislation that will send billions of dollars to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. The package, which finally passed in the House yesterday in a rare Saturday session after months of delay and Republican dysfunction, totals more than $95 billion. Even with the delay, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stressed the importance of this action, saying, quote, "Democracy and freedom will always have global significance and will never fail as long as America helps to protect it." And that protection is more important now than ever. This morning on Meet the Press, President Zelensky also issued this warning after he was asked his thoughts on Donald Trump encouraging Russian President Vladimir Putin to invade NATO countries who don't pay defense bills.
I know for sure, if Ukraine fails, then Putin definitely will invade the Baltic countries. Why? Not because there's some interesting idea, strategy, but because Putin wants to return the influence of the Soviet Union. And he really wants to retake, through force, through war, he wants to retake all former Soviet republics and now independent states. Whether they are in the NATO or not, he doesn't care.
Putin wants to return the influence of the Soviet Union. That's a sobering statement. And Zelensky isn't the only one sounding the alarm on threats to democracy from autocrats. In an open letter to President Biden about the changing national security threats for the United States at home and abroad, my next guest warned, quote, "The United States is facing an emerging, increasingly more closely aligned group of authoritarian powers deeply opposed to the U.S.-led, rules-based international order." Joining me now is retired four-star Army General Wesley Clark, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander in Europe. General Clark, great to see you. Thank you for coming to the Sunday show. Your letter goes into some detail about how Russia, in league with China, Iran, and North Korea, are working together to destabilize America's position as a global leader. Talk more about that.
So what you have is these four countries increasingly working together. You have a strategic alliance between China and Russia, between Russia and Iran. You have North Korea feeding its artillery and other armored equipment into Russia. China is supplying the high technology goods for the Russian defense industry. Iran supplying drones. Russia supplying high technology, some air defense and maybe some aircraft into Iran. All of this being pulled together ever more closely. Vladimir Putin even had Hamas leaders come to Moscow. So he's really orchestrating this, and he's got a major offensive going against the U.S. political system at the same time.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But General Clark, has the delay in getting the Ukraine funding bill through Congress aided this authoritarian axis you're warning about?
Well, it certainly has. First of all, the Ukrainians have lost a large number of troops. They've lost some critical terrain. And remember, that bill hasn't passed yet, and that assistance is not there. So we would need like a Berlin airlift to fly that stuff directly into Ukraine, heavy equipment, ammunition, and all Patriot missiles, ATACMS, everything that they need needs to be flown in right away. I don't know if we're planning that. And I don't know if it's costed out in that $60 billion. But if that aid takes another couple of months, Vladimir Putin has wide open opportunity to exploit the weakness. Already, we've had groups of Ukrainian soldiers who had to surrender to the Russians because they literally had not a single bullet left to fire.
You stress in your letter that the United States needs to confront nuclear weapons since Putin and his associates have repeatedly threatened nuclear weapons to prevent U.S. and Western assistance to Ukraine. How?
Well, from the beginning, Vladimir Putin has threatened, horrific consequences. We just had the Iranians threaten Israel with basically the same thing the other day. When you say unimaginable consequences and so forth, that's nuclear weapons. And some of Vladimir Putin's lieutenants have been even more explicit in this. So nobody wants a nuclear war, sure. And nobody wants a confrontation, sure. But you can't just keep backing away from this. These countries in Eastern Europe, in the Baltics, Poland, Romania, they know what it feels like to be under the Russian boot heel. and they don't want it again. And they're looking to the United States, and they see us backing away and saying, oh, no confrontation. They're saying, okay, well, yeah, there's a legal treaty, but is the United States really willing to confront Vladimir Putin when he threatens nuclear weapons? What about our nuclear weapons? Why isn't he scared of our nuclear weapons? We need to really think this thing through, because for 30 years, since the Cold War ended, we've sort of been on a glide path. It was comfortable. It was nice. We were the sole superpower. That's a bygone era. We're now under challenge from this group of nations that want to erode our ability to help lead the world. They're willing to use force, and they're willing to rely on the nuclear threat.
Another thing they're willing to do, and you mentioned this a moment ago, is use our own political system against this. You contend that it's become a major, quote, theater of operations. What do you mean?
Absolutely, because what they have is a whole system of influence operations to try to change the views of the American people and make it difficult for the leaders in our government to formulate cohesive policies. So they do this in a number of ways. They have people who are working with academics. They have people who are on social media networks. They're posing as Americans. They have money coming in through businesses that are co-owned with foreign countries. And there's a lot of ways that they're influencing. But the point is, it's an orchestrated game plan. Before there was social media, before there was the internet, of course, the Soviet Union tried to do this. We're a very important country, and it was always the Soviet Union's aim to try to influence American politics, but they weren't any good at it. But social media and the internet has given them what we call multiple attack vectors. They can now reach out individually to American voters and feed them disinformation, feed them information that's 80% correct, 20% is what the Russians want you to believe. So this is the methodology. You say things that sound reasonable. There's a threat on our border, no doubt about it. But how does that compare to the threat to democracy if Ukraine falls?
General Wesley Clark, I want to keep in touch with you because I want to know if you do indeed hear from the president about your memo to the president that dropped on Thursday. General Wesley Clark, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.